Ooh, okay. Ivana, Tiwa, Gabe, Haley, Sierra, Katie, Kaylin, and Blair. I got all your names right, correct? Yes. Okay. And then their coach, Miss Thornton, and they're gonna make a nice presentation here today. So, take it away, guys.
Good evening, City Council. Our LEGO Robotics team would like to share some ideas that we've been working on. Hello, my name is Gabriel, and I'm in 5th grade. This is Haley, and she's in 5th grade. This is Tiwa, and she's in 5th grade. This is Ivana. She is in 5th grade. Also, that is Sierra. She's also in 5th grade. That is Blair, and he is in 4th grade. This is Kaylin, and she is in 4th grade. This is Katie, and she is also in 4th grade. And that's my part.
In Indian Head, there is so much trash that we now have 2 trash days. This trash goes to landfills. Soon our landfills will overflow. Each person generates 4.4 pounds of trash each day. So imagine, how much trash does each person generate in a year?
The definition of composting is decayed organic material used as a plant fertilizer. The purposes of composting. Composting lets us repurpose our trash, thus keeping it out of the landfills. And since trash costs $1 a pound, the less trash we have, the less the town will have to pay. And the less trash we have in our soil, the more plants can grow, giving us a cleaner environment.
I will tell you what you can and cannot compost. You can compost all fruit and vegetable peelings, but not limes. You can compost coffee grounds and filters, eggshells, but not the egg or any dairy products, tea leaves and bags, hay and or straw, lawn clippings, but only without pesticides, weeds, but only the easy kill weeds, leaves, cow manure, but not any other waste, fireplace ashes, but no other ashes, coals, or charcoal, shredded paper, but not colored or glazed papers, sawdust, nutshells, but not black walnut trees, plants if disease-free, and do not use fats, oils, lard, or grease.
I am going to talk to you about bin types and sizes. Oh, thank you. And sizes and where to buy bins. Here is the compost wizard dueling tumbler. It is 7 cubic foot. You can purchase the compost wizard dueling tumbler at hayneedle.com. There is another composting bin that you might like, the Exaco Thermal Star 1000. It is 41 inches. You can also find it at hayneedle.com. And here is the Garantia Echo Master. It is 11.8 cubic foot. You can also purchase it at hayneedle.com. If you want to purchase all of these items, go to hayneedle.com.
We feel that we should put compost bins on most streets in Indian Head. The streets where they should go are Indian Head Avenue, Town Street, Mattawoman Court, Dr. Mitchell Lane, Pine Street, 6th Street, and Jennifer Drive. We decided on these locations because they are easy to access and almost everyone can get to them. We would gladly appreciate it if you considered our ideas.
We need to advertise the idea of composting. Here are some ways we can. We could use a flyer, a brochure, in our Thursday folders, in the mail, in our section of the newspaper, local stores, Facebook, Twitter, school website, and the news. Those are some ways we can advertise composting.
Our town is already beautiful, but if we use our compost instead of buying mulch, our town will be for our town beautification, we will also be beautiful and thrifty. The town of Indian Head pays a bunch of money just for 1 ton of trash, and that keeps our taxes high. If If we use compost instead of mulch, we could reduce our taxes. We can use compost for our own gardens and all sorts of plants and flowers to grow. If everyone in the community is involved in making it beautiful, then they will have a sense of pride and hopefully keep it looking nice. Does anybody have any questions?
I want to thank you guys for coming out today. That was awesome. And it's certainly something that I know the council is definitely going to have to look into. And any information that you guys can give to us, I definitely want to talk to you after the meeting. Thank you so much for presenting today.
All right, everyone. That was a great presentation. Let's give them another round of applause. That was awesome. So we've already gone to hayneedle.com. We're going to look at getting some of those composting stations. I wanted to talk to you tonight about emergency preparedness. So over not last weekend, but the weekend before, we had some call it a tornado. We had a weather event, whatever you want to call it. And there was a tremendous amount of damage throughout the region. But I am on the Homeland Emergency Preparedness Committee for the state of Maryland. And I want to just talk to you about having what we call a bug-out kit. If you are military or former military, you know those kits are used when it comes to responding to an incident or just to make sure that you and your family are prepared. So a few items I passed out, and if you didn't get one of these, I have a few on the back table, and I have some more up here. But this is an emergency preparedness supplies checklist, because in the event of a sustained event, critical infrastructure will be repaired first, right? So water, electricity, things of that nature. The average grocery store in an area has maybe 3 days worth of food, and if there's no electricity, that food will go bad. So do you have the things that in your home where you and your family can, one, be safe, right? When things go bad, people sometimes do bad things. So can they be safe? Do you have enough water, right? So these 5-gallon, wherever you get your water from, Deer Park, whatever, do you have enough water where you and your family can bathe and drink? Flush a toilet is very helpful. Do you have enough food? So this is food. It's dried food, and it's good for till 2048. You add water to it, and you can feed a family of 4 for at least 3 days off this one bucket. So, and it's pasta Alfredo, pasta Primavera, pretty decent, right? It's better than peanut butter and crackers. Do you have a first aid kit, right? Do you have bleach, not scented bleach, where if water, you can't get water, you can purify water? So I bought this contraption here. It's pretty cool. So it runs off of wood. You start it and you burn wood, and it charges a generator here, so you can charge your cell phone, right? So if the cell towers are available, right? That means if the cell towers are available. How many people have a phone line at home that actually plugs into the wall and you get dial tone? Now, is it through like Comcast, or is it through the Verizon?
Mm-hmm.
And is it part of your internet connection, or if your internet connection goes down, you still get dial tone? Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. So, okay, because a lot of people use what's called voice over IP, and if your modem goes down at home, you don't get any dial tone. So I keep one phone with a cord that we plug in case of emergency, because when power goes down, that still generates a signal. So you can still make a call. Most of us rely on our cell phone, so if the cell towers go down and you don't have that phone, you're not making a call. This is a solar battery power, so you can power your cell phones with this. It has a little flashlight on it, and it's solar. They have larger units and everyone knows with solar, the more space you have where the sun rays, we get a lot of sun here in the wintertime. I'm originally from Chicago. We don't get sun in the winter, so here you get a lot of sun. So if you charge your solar unit, you can charge your cell phones, things of that nature. So this unit also has a low charge, but this is a little light for reading. And you can cook a few items on this. It's not a very big surface. But if you don't want to buy this thing, right, how many of you keep charcoal in your garage? Okay, so you can always cook the food that's about to go bad in your freezers and refrigerators. You can cook that using charcoal. And if you limit the amount of time you open your freezers or refrigerators, things will stay colder longer, right? So you want to keep that in mind. I'll go back to the bleach real quick. A cap full of unscented bleach, and I think it's more than a gallon. But there's a ratio that you can purify water. Let's see. So that's all I had for that. Are there any questions anybody has? Did anybody experience any damage? Right, right. You guys took care of that. Yeah, that was. So no questions on that. All right, great. All right, so one other thing I'd like to talk to you about is protecting your cell phone. So I do cybersecurity for a living, and now, so the thing that people like to attack in the past were computers, right? But now you have a computer. This is a fancy computer. You make phone calls, everything on this. Who does not have a cell phone? See, everybody has that. So the bad people are trying to attack your cell phone. They will send you emails. How many people have gotten emails from their long-lost Nigerian prince or long-lost relative or the IRS, right? They want you to go to Walmart, get a gift card, and give them the code off of that gift card. Everybody. Now a lot of websites that are, the websites are not malicious themselves, but bad people put things on websites. They love putting them on school websites. They love doing that. They love doing that because people don't think of those things as being inherently bad. So with your cell phone, I'm just going to talk to through a few tips, and we've put this information out on the town website to make sure you can do these things that don't require anything to do them, just to keep yourself safe. All right, so periodically, if you have an iPhone, Apple, how many iPhone people do we have in here? How many Android? How many don't know? You either have one or the other, right? Or you have maybe you have like a track phone or something. I don't know what iOS that runs. But, so I'm going to talk about iPhone. I have both types of phones. I prefer iPhones. So periodically Apple will issue an iOS update. That's the operating system update. How many people decline it? Like keep declining the update until it forces you to eventually do it, right? Now that's one thing. So they're protecting you from yourself, right? Because they know we will ignore or tell it delay or whatever, right? So, but you want to do those, right? Because there are certain things that are called like 0-day attacks. 0-day are things that the vendor didn't know about. Someone found a vulnerability and have exploited that. So they issue a patch. So if you don't do it, you may be susceptible to that attack. So try not to decline those things. Try to just do it. Bear with it, right? On the iPhone, there's Find My iPhone. Now, Find My iPhone is a feature that you enable. And what do you think that does? Anybody?
iPhone?
It tracks your iPhone. Okay. But I have to caution you. If someone by chance turns your phone on and it says they live at this house, do not go to that house and knock on the door and say, hey, I know you got my phone in there. We recommend that you work with the authorities to try to get your property back. But that's a good way. And one other thing with Find My iPhone, you can remote wipe the information that's on there. So that's a good part, right? They may have the device, but they don't have your information. Generally, people want your information so they can steal your identity or whatever. A lot of people use Apple Wallet and they store their credit cards in Apple Wallet. I only do that for my airplane flights. I don't do that for my credit card. So if you're going to use Apple Wallet, make sure you have Find My iPhone enabled so you can delete that, because there's a way to get into a phone even if it's locked, right? I won't go into that story about it. So the passphrase, a lot of people can use their thumbprint to unlock their iPhone. Some people use that. That's biometrics. They say that the thumbprint image is stored on the phone. It does not go to Apple. I don't trust that, so I don't use the thumbprint. I punch in a series of numbers. You can extend the character value, because if I see you typing your code in enough times, I can identify what your code is, right? Some people try to use zigzags and all this other stuff. Someone watching with a trained eye enough times can see what you're doing. So you want to extend that as long as possible. Let me see. So you want to use apps that are approved by the vendor, and this goes for iPhones and Androids. Apple does a better job than Google with validating the quality of the apps that are in the App Store. So, but if you use something, try to do a little more research. It might be the coolest thing. They love creating malicious games. They know we have an affinity for Candy Crush and all these other games. We love playing them. So they weaponize those. A lot of apps will require you to consent to access to your contacts, your microphone, your camera, all your personal information. So be cognizant of when you allow an app to have access to all these things. Why would they need your camera? Why would they? So if you give them access to your camera, don't you think someone could turn it on when you're not thinking about it? So I don't sleep with my phone in my bedroom. My phone is downstairs. I don't have electronics in my bedroom. I don't trust the electronics. I don't have two-way, a web-enabled television is another thing, right? So make sure you update the operating system on that. If it has a camera, you might want to consider disabling it, putting a piece of tape over it. So the Android system, any question on iPhones? We only have a few of them in here. All right, Androids. So Androids, they don't do that well when it comes to the security of the apps. They don't really vet those. They don't really put them through rigorous testing and certify them that they are of great quality. So they have some phenomenal apps. Don't get me wrong, phenomenal apps, but I would prefer to have the surgeon who has been through medical school and passed the board versus someone who just thinks they know what they're doing. So with the Android, one good thing you can do is definitely, there's a third-party tool, another third-party, but you can encrypt the device. So if someone were to steal your device, all the data is encrypted. So that's one thing you can do. Make sure you do get the latest updates. They have an app where you can track your phone, and they have an app where you can do remote wiping. The difference is it's not native to the operating system like Apple's is, so be careful when you use those third-party apps. But if no one has any questions, that concludes my presentation. Yes, sir.
I have one question. Thank you for this presentation, both the presentation. The first one I really enjoyed because we could actually see with our own eyes physically what things were needed in case of emergency. And in the second one, I didn't want to get too political, but with the recent incidents at the White House and things like that, I read in the newspaper that some of the phones that they are using there, they are able to encrypt their messages. Is that available to the public? Is this something that we can also download in our phones?
Yes, yes. So there's a big debate on the level of encryption, NSA, and all that, right? So we won't get into those details, but there are applications. Signal is one of them that's available. You can end-to-end encrypt, right? You have to have encryption. You have to have the application on your phone. The receiver has to have the application. It's encrypted end-to-end. So, some of the things I bought for the emergency preparedness kit are a little pricey, but for on the list, you can go to Dollar General and get most of these items for less than $50. So, any additional questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving on to presentations, recognitions, resolutions, ordinances, and petitions. We have 2 resolutions tonight for appointments to the Community Activities Committee and appointments to Environmental Sustainability Committee. Annie?
Resolution 03-01-17, introduced by Mayor and Council. Date introduced March 6, 2017. Date adopted March 6, 2017. Date effective March 6, 2017. A resolution appointing and reappointing members and establishing their respective terms of office to the Indian Head Community Activities Committee for 3-year terms. Whereas the following individuals have expressed a desire to serve as members of the Indian Head Community Activities Committee, and whereas Article 4 of the Code of the Town of Indian Head empowers the Town Council of Indian Head to make appointments to the Indian Head Community Activities Committee, now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Town Council of Indian Head that the following individuals are hereby appointed to the Indian Head Community Activities Committee for 3-year terms of office as noted below. All appointments that I read will expire in March 2020. Appoint Debbie Wedding, 23 Delta Place. Reappoint Margaret Champagne, 401 Indian Head Avenue. Reappoint Janet Vogel, 3 Leslie Drive. Reappoint Betty Hamrick, 7 Prospect Avenue. Reappoint Mary Hashhagen, 5 Indian Head Avenue. Reappoint Brenda Hayes, 4655 Strauss Avenue. Reappoint Ruby Hayes, 4655 Strauss Avenue. Reappoint Aaron Smith, 3 Leslie Drive. Reappoint Thellery Mack, 6231 Ford Drive. Reappoint Mary Lee Smith, 3 Leslie Drive. Reappoint Donald Willett, 24 Greenwood Place. And reappoint William Hayes, 7 Davis Drive. Be it further resolved that all resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith being the same are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict. This resolution shall be in full force and effect on the 6th day of March 2017.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the the resolution as read. Sorry.
I second that.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.